On November 16, 1929, in a restaurant in Bologna, a man asked his friends for money to start a racing team. He wasn't asking them to help him build cars. Nobody thought that far ahead. His name was Enzo Ferrari, and for 10 more years, the company that would carry his name wouldn't build a single automobile. What does it mean to spend a decade building a legend before you ever build the thing you're famous for? Ferrari had spent the 1920s as a driver for Alfa Romeo, both racing their cars and selling them out of a Milan showroom. He was good behind the wheel, but he was better at something else, organizing people, cars, and money into something that won. So in 1929, he founded Scuderia Ferrari. Scuderia is the Italian word for a stable, the kind that houses racehorses. Ferrari's stable didn't house horses. It housed Alfa Romeos. The whole business model was simple. Wealthy amateur drivers, men with more money than racing experience, paid Ferrari's outfit to prepare and manage Alfa Romeo race cars for them. Ferrari supplied the mechanics. The clients supplied the ego and the entry fees. It worked because Ferrari had connections inside Alfa Romeo, and because Italy in the 1930s treated racing as a matter of national pride. In 1933, Alfa Romeo hit financial trouble and pulled out of racing directly. That should have been the end of Scuderia Ferrari. Instead, it became the beginning of something bigger. With Alfa gone from the track, Ferrari's little outfit became Alfa Romeo's unofficial factory team. He wasn't just running amateurs anymore. He had the best drivers in Europe under his banner, men like Tazio Nuvolari, one of the most fearless racers of his generation. In 1932, at the Spa 24 Hours in Belgium, Ferrari's cars wore a new emblem for the first time, a black prancing horse on a yellow shield. Ferrari always said the symbol came from the grieving mother of a World War I fighter pilot, Francesco Baracca, who had painted the same horse on the side of his plane before he was shot down. A dead pilot's good luck charm became the most recognizable logo in motorsport, and it happened before Ferrari had ever built a car of its own. By the late 1930s, Scuderia Ferrari was winning constantly, and Alfa Romeo noticed. In 1937, they bought back the majority of the team's shares. The following year, they folded Ferrari's operation directly into their own factory racing division and put Enzo in charge of it. You'd think that was a promotion. Ferrari didn't see it that way. He wanted independence, and Alfa wanted control. The two men running the show clashed, and in 1939, Enzo Ferrari was pushed out. Alfa Romeo's official statement called it a mutual agreement. Ferrari, for the rest of his life, called it something closer to being fired. Either way, he walked away with a settlement, a decade of racing knowledge, and one very inconvenient condition attached to his exit: a non-compete clause. For 4 years, Enzo Ferrari was legally barred from racing cars or building them under his own name. So what do you do when the one thing you're famous for is suddenly the one thing you're not allowed to do? You find a workaround. Ferrari took his settlement money and founded a new company in Modena, in the very same building his old racing team had used. He called it Auto Avio Costruzioni. Not Ferrari. He couldn't call it that yet. Officially, the company made machine tools and aircraft parts. Unofficially, Ferrari had already started designing his first car. In 1940, Auto Avio Costruzioni built 2 cars for the Mille Miglia, Italy's grueling 1,000-mile road race. They were called the Tipo 815, built in just a few months, based partly on Fiat components because Ferrari didn't yet have the resources to engineer everything from scratch. Neither car finished the race. But neither car carried the Ferrari name either, or the prancing horse. Legally, it couldn't. Then the war came, and racing stopped everywhere. Ferrari's factory spent the war years building machine tools and parts for Mussolini's government. Work that had nothing to do with cars but kept the company alive and, more importantly, kept it funded. Allied bombing raids hit the factory twice. Ferrari had already moved operations to a small town called Maranello, disguising the new plant to look like an ordinary farmstead from the air. By the time the war ended, so had the non-compete clause. In 1945, the company finally took the name it had been waiting 6 years to use: Ferrari. 2 years later, in 1947, The first car built entirely under that name rolled out of Maranello. It was called the 125S, powered by a 1.5-liter V12 engine designed by an engineer named Gioacchino Colombo. Its first race in Piacenza ended in retirement with a fuel pump failure. 2 weeks later, at the Rome Grand Prix, it won. Think about the order of operations here. Ferrari built a legendary racing reputation for a decade before it built a single car. It became one of the most famous names in motorsport, while legally forbidden to use its own founder's name. And when it finally could, the company that emerged wasn't really a car manufacturer that happened to race. It was a race team that reluctantly, almost accidentally became a car company, because building road cars was the only way left to pay for the racing habit that had defined Enzo Ferrari since that dinner in Bologna in 1929. Every Ferrari sold since has quietly funded the same obsession that started it all. The company didn't build cars to go racing. It went racing, and cars were just the bill it had to pay.